Did you know that 14.5% of U.S. households struggle to put enough food on the table? That equates to more than 48 million Americans. More than 1 in 5 children are at risk of hunger. The U.S. wastes more than $165 billion in food each year. Roughly 7% of the produce that's grown in the United States gets stranded on fields each year. Farmers tend to cull produce to make sure it meets minimum standards for size, color, and weight. One large cucumber farmer, the NRDC report notes, estimated that fewer than half of the vegetables he grows actually leave his farm, and that 75% of the cucumbers culled before sale are edible. Which brings me to the problem. Millions of people go hungry every single day, yet at the same time, massive amounts of food are being wasted. My proposal is this: get farmers to donate the perfectly good food they throw out to help feed the starving Americans. Now, in order for this to work, we have to look at some assumptions here. We have to assume that people would be willing to work to make this happen. We also have to assume that farmers would be willing to donate the food that they otherwise throw out. And lastly, we have to assume that food banks would be willing to collaborate to better distribute food amongst the hungry. Not to mention that we have to assume that farmers really are throwing out as much as the reports say they are. So, talking strategies, not every country wastes as much food as America does. In France, ugly produce is sold at a discounted price at the supermarket. Actually, some U.S. supermarkets sell food that is past the sell-by date, but it's still safe to consume, and they do so at a discounted price, which helps reduce the food waste. To further reduce waste, we have programs that take food from restaurants that would otherwise be thrown out and donate it. Actually, California recently passed a bill allowing growers to receive a tax credit for donations of excess produce to state food banks, joining Arizona, Oregon, and Colorado. There's plenty working, it's just not enough. We need to use food collection programs that are already in place to retrieve the food donated by the farmers and to give where it is needed. There have been issues with some food banks getting too much food while others never get enough. So a collective effort amongst food banks would be needed to evenly distribute. Now, there are some influential factors here. Will farmers be willing to donate the food that they would otherwise throw out? Some farmers might be afraid that they'll get sued if someone gets sick by eating the donated food. How easily can the farmers donate their food? And how easily can people distribute the donated food? If it's not easy and simple, a lot of people will not do this. There have also been documented cases where people or corporations have not been allowed to donate food. One reported incident states that a mayor in New York banned a man from donating bagels due to wanting to monitor sodium and fat intake amongst the homeless. On the other hand, though, the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act of 1996 protects donors from civil and criminal liability should the product donated in good faith later cause harm to the recipient, except for cases of gross negligence or intentional misconduct. Now, of course, the food being donated would need to meet health guidelines and be suitable for human consumption. Looking at community needs, in order to begin to solve the problem of hunger in the U.S., a better system to collect and donate food is needed. A program for farmers to easily donate the food that they would otherwise discard for not being pretty or aesthetically correct would also need to be in place. Looking at community assets, though, there are food drives, food banks, school lunch programs, and programs that take leftover food from restaurants and donate it. Now, while all of these are great in theory, but sometimes certain food banks get too many donations while others get none. School lunch programs only last for the school year and don't always offer breakfasts. They leave a gap in the year for children to go hungry again. Desired results. The most obvious desired result would be a decrease in the number of people that are hungry, as well as a decline in the amount of food that gets wasted. If a program were to be put in place to take food that would otherwise be thrown out and to donate it instead, the effect should be pretty close to immediate. Now, looking a little bit more long term, there would be less of a need for food drives, and there should be food available year-round. There should be less reported hunger in the U.S., as well as reports that show that less food is being wasted overall. Now, wrapping up, my proposal is essentially about getting farmers to donate the perfectly good food that they would otherwise discard because it doesn't meet store standards of aesthetics, and to instead donate this to people that go hungry every single day.